Hello F11 members and welcome back to the second of the post-production video tutorials for issue 94, November 2019. So here we have a picture of Cape Gaspé in Quebec province, Canada. This was a wonderful location, very evocative. Wendy and I spent 2 dawns here in the company of seals and various seabirds, and we loved it, and it was one of those sessions that we'll always remember. And this picture here I think has potential, but what we're seeing on the screen, the raw image straight out the camera, looks pretty washed out, boring and uninteresting. However, the histogram that I'm looking at here tells me that I have all the information I need to add some interest in particular to the sky and to fine-tune the contrast in the picture and tease out a picture with impact. So let's start working through the post-production, and as always I'll start by looking at the black points here, hold down the Alt slider, move the blacks, and immediately as I move it to the left, can you see down the bottom right hand corner of the picture I start clipping my shadow information. So I'm going to leave that untouched. If in doubt, do nothing. Let's look at the whites. Hold down the Alt key, move the white slider to the right, and I can go to about +22 before I start clipping any of the brightest tones in the picture in the sky. So that's good, and now I'm going to look at the shadows in the picture. Well, just looking at the image, really, there's no shadow information that I need to bring out there. It was quite low contrast lighting situation, so I'm going to leave shadows untouched. But clearly there's a lot of highlights which appear to be blown out. So I'm confident I can bring them back though. So if I hold, so basically I'm going to now just pull back on the highlight slider and as you can see, some of those tones in the image are starting to reappear, particularly in that bright sky. So I'm going to go to about -50 on my highlight recovery there. And now let's look at the image and consider what next I want to do. Well, I think the image would benefit from a little bit of contrast, and I prefer to put contrast into the picture using the tone curve. And I'm going to use this default setting here, one of the presets of medium contrast. Puts that tone curve, adds contrast. I think already that's starting to give the image a bit of punch. But I think overall it's a bit too bright still, and so in this particular case I'm just going to use the exposure slider here and pull it back a touch to give the kind of density to the image that I want. And I'm going to go about I'm going to go -30 here. Just fine tune that. And I'd say the tones there in that middle part of the image are just right now. But I think the foreground's gone a bit dark and dingy on me now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the grad tool here, highlight that, and then hold down the shift key, and then just pull in a grad to operate on the bottom of the picture. Just fine tune its adjustment there. And then I can afford to boost the whites in this area of the image a touch there, and just a hint on the exposure as well to bring up that foreground, and put a little bit of contrast in as well, just a teaspoonful. Okay, good stuff. Those tones down the bottom of the picture there look appealing now. Nice contrast, nice rich blacks. There's beauty in a pure black. Now I need to look at the top of the image, in particular, really the sky. So I'm going to use the grad tool here again, and this time holding down the shift key, pull the grad in from the top of the image, and a relatively soft grad there. And now pull back the exposure until I can bring out that sky. Look at all that information in the sky. Isn't it amazing what was there? What's there and what appeared to be burnt out? Just shows, doesn't it? Now the thing is, I can go all the way here and give myself a really moody, angry sky, which looks great, doesn't it? But there's a fundamental problem with going that far, and that's the sky now is darker than its reflection off the water here, and that is jarring to the eye. It just doesn't look natural. So I have to rein my enthusiasm back here a bit, be subtle, and pull it back until I've got a pleasing balance between these tones here, top left, and these tones here in the water. They should match for the image to have that feel of that natural feel that I think is so important. But I have a problem now because I've over darkened down the top of the cliffs here now, and they've got that ugly grad look on the picture. But I can deal with that. So what I'm going to do is click down here, show selected mask overlay. That shows me the area of the image that I've selected using my grad tool here. So now I come here, still in the grad tool menu, and click on brush, come down here, click on erase, and ensure that I've got auto mask selected. And now I come up here and adjust the size of my brush here, and now I start burning away the red. Now what I'm doing, I'm not actually burning away the red. What I'm doing is fine-tuning the area of the image that I've selected using the grad tool. So because I've got auto mask selected, it's picking up that edge of the trees, of those cliffs there, quite well. Just come down on my brush size now and use it to brush away, erase the area of the grad tool that was working on these cliffs here out on the Cap Gaspé. Okay, and now let's just have a look at it. If I click off the mask overlay, just see how that looks. Much better, isn't it? Much better. Okay, that's good. So click on done there now. Just one more thing to look at, and I'm still aware that this image here has been darkened down a bit too much. Not by the grad tool, but by just general other adjustments. It's looking as if there's a heavy sort of Top Gear type grad on the shot there. So I'm going to come up here to my adjustment brush now. Again, come down here, click on show selected mask overlay. Now just again paint in the red, and the red is just showing me the area that I'm selecting. Okay, again auto mask has been enabled so that it's picking up that edge quite well. Just come down on my brush size and just come along that edge a bit more though. We want to avoid any nasty halos. Okay, click off the mask overlay, and now I'm just going to dial in just a hint of plus on the exposure there to bring up the tones in that area of the picture. A touch, just a touch. Click on done, and there we go. What do we reckon to that picture? I think it shows really well the power of minimal color. There's no color in that image really, and yet it would be a fundamentally different picture in black and white. It's all tones of greys. You'd struggle to pick up any color there really, and yet I think it's wonderfully subtle. I hope you agree with me, and I hope also that you'll feel free to send in your comments and suggestions, and we look forward to hearing from you. Okay, see you next issue. Thank you.